conversation about the moral and constitutional basis. Don't forget that this program is streaming live on social media, so you can join us at Metro TV Ghana on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Send your messages with the hashtag Inside Pages. There's also a WhatsApp number that will be that will be displayed on your screen. Please do not call the number. Just send your message and we'll read it on the show. We apologize for starting late, but we'll go straight to Reporter's Blog.
Lieutenant Colonel Kwesi Pepra, commanding officer of the 4th Infantry Battalion, revealed to the committee that shooting of the gun fired might have come out of the crowd. According to him, when the military got to the grounds, the irate youth of Edra were holding fighting gadgets, so who may know whether the gun fired which hit 2 protesters which led to their death may be the protesters. Lieutenant Colonel also revealed that the army officer who knelt down was not aiming to shoot someone, but kneeling, sitting, and standing are some positions in.
I had a call from the chairman of RECSEC that the situation was getting out of control and that there was a need for us as Operation Calm Life, already we were operating with the police, to move inside and do something. If not, things will get out of control seriously.
The Deputy Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP David Ajiman, shared views about security analyst submission on the incident, which he said has not been helpful.
We dispatched a team stationed in the region from the FPU headquarters and another team from our SWAT unit to also go and assist with our strength in Nigeria.
Several questions were posed to the Municipal Chief Executive Officer of the Edra Section Domasi Municipality of the Ashanti region concerning the death of Kaka and the protest which led to the killing of 2 persons. Key among them was why he left the security of the entire residents of Edra to seek for his personal security as the chairman of the Municipal Security Council. According to him, his presence could have escalated the issue at stake, looking at how the youth were instigated and incited against the police. As such, he believed it would have been worse for him as the head of the security, so he heeded the advice not to stay in Edra. He also denied that 2 suspects arrested were his bodyguards, but rather NPP polling station officers.
Then myself and the security heads agreed that we should call for support through the divisional command, looking at what happened that evening. I was also informed that that evening some properties of the police were vandalized. After the discussion, I followed up with a call to the divisional commander myself to find out whether the agreement or the discussion we had has been given to him, whether he has been informed, which he said yes. Around 11 p.m., I had information that some policemen have arrived and the police water cannon has also arrived. Few minutes after the discussion, I had information again that the military has also arrived. So we were asked to support with accommodation.
The 3-member committee probing the Edra killings has had its request for an extension of the deadline to hear from more witnesses granted on Friday by the Interior Minister. Friday, June 9, 2021 was the scheduled day for the committee to conclude its work, but for the request of an extension. There was, however, an unusual delay on Friday as witnesses supposed to appear by 10 o'clock a.m. were not available as scheduled, but later the mother of Louise Aigba, who is currently on admission at the Komfonochi Teaching Hospital as a result of gunshot wounds he sustained during the Edra protest, showed up. She told the committee that his son was not part of the protesters, but rather was on his way to a pharmacy shop to buy medicine on Tuesday, June 29, when he was hit by a bullet. According to her, she was initially told that her son had died, but it was later at the Ejura Government Hospital that the medical superintendent told her son was still alive and had been resuscitated. He was then later transferred to Comfort Nochi Teaching Hospital, where he underwent surgery.
Doctors no an operation baby a bullet and a boy no and one no akwa say nko mo bekwa fele eho no and a doctor ba ko ba na o say yerhwe kakra nti sila oda so da.
The sitting has been adjourned to Monday, July 12, 2021. Residents and family members of Ejura killings are expected to appear from Monday to Friday.
Traders count their losses a day following a fire that ravaged over 100 shops at the Makola market here in Accra.
And you said you deal in cosmetics, right? Today, have you been able to climb up there to see your shop?
Yes, well, I was able to climb up, and it's up to ashes now. There's nothing to pick up from there.
You didn't pick a single thing?
No, I didn't pick anything from there. Everything is black and dark.
The traders were asked by the National Fire Service to assess the building and salvage the goods that were not affected by the flames after firefighters doused the flames Monday evening. But during the process, thick black smoke was seen emanating from the building, which started the fire again. According to the traders, the warehouse is said to be holding a lot of combustible materials ranging from fabrics, sanitary products, amongst others, thus causing the reignition. The traders say they can't fathom how the fire service is struggling to douse the blaze after more than 24 hours.
Are you even concerned that up until now they are unable to douse the flames completely?
Very. Now we are very, very concerned because we have other shops nearby, so we don't know what to do. We wake up and now we are here just hoping and protecting the other properties that.
Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo Tremantin and the Mayor of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Mohamed Ni Ajay Soa, and leaders of the Ghana Union of Traders Association were at the scene to assess the level of damage. Chairman of GUTA, Joseph Obin, urged the Ministry of Trade and Industry to institute a committee to probe the recent fire outbreaks in market centers.
What we are doing, we have told them to take their time to be able to salvage a few more things, and then after they settle in a day or two, they sit down and collate the volume that is involved, and then they itemize everything and then bring their list so that we can forward it to government for the necessary compensation. I don't want to even call it compensation, but providing some sort of comfort for
The 7-member committee to investigate and assess the extent of damage of the Makola fire outbreak includes representatives of the Ghana Police Service, NADMO, ECG, Ghana Water Company Limited, Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Army and the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. They have 1 week to finish with the investigation and advise on the way forward. Mohamed Ajay Soa is the mayor of Accra.
So this is a 7-member committee that has been formed and with a mandate of investigating the cause of the fire and to assess the extent of damage. The building is going to be cordoned off and will not allow any human activity around the building. Within the remit of the fact that the investigation continues, the building is still not safe for occupancy, and that people should also respect the rules that we have set out for us. The police are here to do their job, and anybody who decides to do otherwise, the police will apprehend the person.
He added that the victims will be compensated.
As pledged by the Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Tremantin, on behalf of government, assistance will be provided to them. And we are hopeful that in a couple of days, the assessment will be completed and the victims will be supported as pledged by the Honorable Minister for Trade.
President for the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obin, was happy with the procedures taken so far by government.
After construction started in the year 2018, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has today opened all routes on the Pokuase interchange for vehicles.
Accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, I have the great pleasure to declare the Pokuase interchange duly commissioned.
There has been controversy surrounding who got funding for the construction of the interchange. But today, it has been put to bear. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said, although the NDC government or the John Mahama-led administration got the funding from the African Development Bank, his government ensured that the interchange was changed from a 3-tier interchange to a 4-tier interchange.
It is important to put on record that the original contract design was for a 3-tier interchange. However, through efficient management by my government, the interchange was modified to a 4-tier structure within the same contract sum. These are further examples of the fact that we in the New Patriotic Party are good protectors of the public purse.
We must congratulate the government that initiated it. It's also very important. But somebody must take it through the implementation. That is what this government has done. Taking it through implementation, they managed to construct from a 3-tier cost to a 4-tier at the same cost.
Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoako-Attah, says his outfit is working closely with the National Road Safety Authority and also the Ghana Police Service to ensure accidents are reduced to 8 barest minimum on the stretch.
We are not abandoning it after the official opening. We shall continue to be here to deploy the relevant people to guide motorists and all, because we do not want to record any needless or unnecessary accident here.
The march, which started at the Accra Mall, saw some rank and file of the National Democratic Congress hit the streets clad in red and black. They marched through the 37 Opebia Highway, through to the Aviation and Land Commission Road. The first point of call was at the Jubilee House to present an 8-point petition to the presidency. This was received by the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations, Emmanuel Adumwa Bosman.
The danger, Your Excellency, is that there is no commitment from you and your government that this life-threatening challenges facing our country will be at least reduced. Instead of teaming up with those who have taken inspiration from your edicts to be citizens and not spectators to fix the country, your government is surprisingly averse to calls asking for the fixing of our beloved country. Those crusading for the country to be fixed have become enemies of your government, as they are either being intimidated, harassed, or killed by your militia. Respectfully, Mr. President, it is not out of place to point out to you that though Ghanaians signed a social contract with you to resolve their problems, your government has become an insurmountable challenge that they are struggling to resolve.
Amidst heavy security and strict compliance to the COVID-19 protocols, protesters continued their march through the Independence Avenue to Parliament. The entry to the House of Legislature was chaotic as both leadership and party faithful were denied entry upon arrival.
See, we are asking Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia that we can no longer keep quiet while the people suffer, while the people are subjugated, while the people are intimidated, while the people are being killed. One death is too many.
The march ended with a petition being presented to Parliament.
It is our expectation that these demands will be acted upon with dispatch in order to restore the hope and confidence of Ghanaians in the future of our country and its government and its governance institutions.
Leadership of the House assured party faithful their petition will be replied in due time.
All right, we'll go straight to our first conversation about the Ejura riots and killings and the public inquiry that has been happening in the week gone by. I'll introduce my guests. Joining us for this conversation is Adam Bona. He's a security analyst. We also have Benjamin Antiedu, lawyer, legal researcher, and author. Justice Abdullahi, a legal practitioner and a lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, will also be joining us. Ni'ama Adi is an educationist with the Center for Social Justice. We'll also be joined by Ashanti Regional Correspondent Abdul Basit Suleiman, who has been on this beat. But gentlemen, good morning and welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Great. I'll start with Benjamin about, and I want to raise this because this is something that has always come up, and even the family of the dead gentleman, Kaka, raised this matter. The conversation about whether or not a public commission instead of a public committee should have been established to inquire into the incident at Ejura. What's your take on that? People say that it should have been a commission which would have had more powers to compel people, the powers of a high court, etc. What's the difference, and what difference would it have made?
Okay, so thank you. So the committee that is in place now working is one of ministerial committee. So it didn't come within the scope of Article 278, that is Commissions of Inquiry, which has its own legislative process. And then, of course, it has the power to compel witnesses to appear and to give testimony, to appear and produce certain documents that will help its work. But in terms of further prosecution, we have had challenges with that process because the Constitution is clear that witnesses who appear before such commissions are protected, and using evidence that are adduced in that forum becomes a challenge. You've seen that one in the case of Honorable Kwame Piani, and then further recently. So I think that you need some basic facts to move on. What Ghanaians expect, I think Ghanaians want to see some kind of prosecution going on. So this process is far better, so that we wouldn't have the experience or limitation of commissions of inquiry processes. So yes, ideally, one would have wanted a full-blown inquiry that will be better handled by commissions. But I think that this one, there's an eye on prosecution, because that will be because we've had this kind of commissions over the period. And so any time you set one, people are not quite confident that, there will be some real steps taken. You remember the election violence that we had, and then even flowing from the commission's recommendations, we didn't see the prosecutions and all. So I think that is good. It's a good option.
I'll come to Adam. Adam, do you share the same views, or like other conversations that I've had? Many were not impressed with the committee. They didn't see what was going to be different about the committee doing the work.
Well, good morning, and good morning to my co-panelists and your viewers and my colleague. We finished the same secondary school.
Okay.
In the 90s, Ghanata Secondary School. He in fact,
I'm a senior.
You're so quick to put that out.
I'm sure he knows his colleagues are watching. Yes, he finished a year before me. Okay. So he's a senior.
Okay.
Ghanata went to the year.
And Dr. Ndiabe finished a year before me.
Oh,
they were in the same house.
I see. A little family reunion.
You see.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yes, I needed to say. Sure. Yes, with regards to the committee as compared to a commission, just like the lawyer did say, with the commission, if you go back into history, you notice that what has come out of most of these commissions have been something that looks like a white paper. I don't know how a white paper looks, but something that looks like a white paper that is usually whitewashed and usually not used the way one would have expected. And largely, most of the recommendations are either shredded or not implemented. And I won't take you too far away. If you look at the Ayawaso West Wagon, commission, yes, they did a very good job. If you ask me, they did a very good job. But if you compare that to the Aswansi 7 committee that was established when the 7 able men were killed within the constituency of Honorable Muntaka's constituency in the Ashanti region. You notice that whereas the Ayawaso West Wuogon Commission report recommended that compensation be paid to victims who were maimed and, you know, got injuries, and same as what do you call it, as 7 victims' families, that of what do you call it, Ayawaso West Wuogon has still not been paid, even though the victims are all still alive. It hasn't been paid. But if you look at the Aswansi 7, the victims unfortunately were killed. A lot of lies were told by the Ashanti Regional Police Command, and eventually they were compensated. The families of, you know, victims' families were compensated, which I think somehow went a long way to assuage their pain, because some of them left, you know, wives and children and all that. And so I would also go by that and say that it would have been good to have a committee that would have some amount of power to, you know, compel people to come. Because if you look at the committee that is sitting, the Justice Kumsin's committee, you notice there are a lot of shortcomings and a lot of, call it disorganization. They don't look very organized, if you ask me from where I sit. Because then you don't want a committee that, you know, is empaneled. They sit and they begin to turn around and ask that, oh, if this person is there, come and sit. If you follow the proceedings, the hearing, and to me, that is not very good. That doesn't augur well. It means that they don't have a pre-planned hearing before the day where people are clearly notified. Those who want to come with their lawyers, if you look at the Emil Short's commission, most of the those who came in, who were called in to come and give testimony, came in with their lawyers and all that they were properly represented. But this time around, what is happening in Kumasi, right? The drag hearing. You notice these people are called in the spur of the moment to come in and give testimony. And so I'm just thinking that when you are not prepared and you are called, chances are that the responses you give might be responses that may be given another chance. You would not have given those same responses because you would have thought of it before coming. And so
the quality of the evidence really is under question because of how people are coming in.
Because of the way I think they are not too organized, and also some of the opinions shared by some members, largely the committee, I found that to be very unfortunate because they are there to, it's a fact-finding committee. Their work is literally to listen to people and
Which
make
one
notes.
stood out to you? The one about the footage? Which comments stood out?
Oh, for instance, where, individuals have been killed. You are there to find out what went on, and you seem to have, come to a certain conclusion that the media actually instigated the killing, if you ask me. If you listen, it was a banter between, they themselves and Erastus, one of your colleagues. And eventually, day 1, day 2, day 3, you heard them on and on and on go after others. And I thought that you didn't, if you compare that to Emil Short's commission, they were direct. They asked you all the questions. You notice the regional minister came in and, I would say had audacity to say that he was not going to give out the names of the people who gave him the intel. People are dead out of your own actions or inactions. And so when you are called and you say, well, even if you call me into camera, I would have to think of it, or I would have to ask these people. To me, that didn't augur well as the commander-in-chief of the Ashanti region, because then you take responsibility for anything that happens, especially when you are head of RECSEC. But unfortunately, they allowed them, they treated them with kids' gloves. And you also look at the soldiers who came in. The soldiers who came in, actually, said a lot of things, a lot of inconsistencies, because then the regional minister...
I have to stop you because you're going into the flesh of the conversation. Pardon me for that.
That's fine.
Neil, let me get your initial thoughts on the work of the Public Inquiry Committee.
I mean, I would say simply that we want to look at the process and the end result, and that's what Ghanaians are more concerned about. I mean, the process is what we're seeing, and then the end result is what will be the outcome after everything has been done. So I would say simply that let the process be rightly done, and let the end result speak for itself, for whatever has been done. Other than that, it's going to be a waste of time, and very soon, if such an incident occur again, we will not know the extent to which people may react.
I'll come back
Simply
to you.
Put.
Very well. I'll come back to you, Benjamin. And picking from what Mr. Bona said, the fact that the committee doesn't have the power to compel attendees or people to give in witnesses, he raises an important matter about the quality of the evidence that is coming in if people are appearing before the committee on the spur of the moment. How much of a big deal is that? And that's really foundational because it is a committee and they don't have that power.
Yes, thank you. Yes, there will be a difficulty because for a successful prosecution, you need solid, sufficient, cogent evidence to go forward. And so the obvious incapacitation of the committee is a worry. But I believe that being a ministerial committee, their work will not be a finality. I'm sure that when they get a basis to the law enforcement agencies or the investigative bodies, they should be able to do more detailed work. And we expect that this, as my brother said, that this process will produce an outcome in prosecution, prosecution that will serve as lasting example and guidance to all of us. So I believe that yes, there is a real difficulty with their evidence gathering powers, but I believe that that will not be the end of their work. Further work, more detailed work will be done.
And we know the police is already doing investigations as they had announced. How does this sit? How does the work of the police or the investigation by the police sit with that of the ministerial committee? Especially because it's a concern that the family raised, that they felt that some of the questioning, the line of questioning by the Public Inquiry Committee was veering into what the police would have been doing. Okay,
yes, of course. The basic work that the two institutions, in this case, the police and the committee, will be doing, their urges to gather the facts, just to give an inkling of what happened so that more detailed work will be done. So, of course, that is to suggest, even the point I made earlier, that we're going to have multiplicity of actions that will come together to produce the cogent evidence that we're waiting for, so that the work of the committee will not, let's not take it that the work of the committee will produce the final outcome that will settle the matter. No, I don't believe that at all. And for what purpose? Just to get us the basis. Normally a complaint would have been made to the police, and then the process takes over. But there's it's a riot, so a lot of people are involved. So at least, if not for anything at all, the committee's work will produce certain witnesses who can be further interrogated.
Very well. I wanted to raise an interrogation over there, but that's fine. I want to turn my attention to the appearances that were made, the attendees who came. Adam had started speaking about the Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Osei Mensah. He came in, admitted to calling the military, according to him, because of intel he had of further an escalation or certain further rioting by the youth there and destruction of property. He had told us that the police station had also been attacked by the youth there. He declined to give exactly who gave the intel or who the soldiers were that shot at or allegedly shot at the protesters. What's from a security perspective, how do you assess the evidence that he has given and the kind of questions that also brought out this information?
Well, thank you. I think the evidence he gave actually, well, if you ask me substantially, I would say he didn't give a lot of information. He didn't give a lot of information because then who gave him that intel? He said, I'm not going to mention it. And because if I do, what's the name? Next time, they won't give me any information again. Yet you have people who have died. And you are not ready to share that information with the committee. And the committee couldn't do anything about it. I don't know whether they'll be able to do something about it. Maybe the lawyers will.
But Ben, you want to weigh in here? Can they or could they have compelled the regional minister to perhaps give that information in camera?
The power to compel is absent, as we know of ministerial committee, and so there is a clear limitation there. But I'm sure that if the matter was put before him, like Senior is saying, then of course this is a crucial information that we need, at least if not for anything, to be given in camera, so that there will be further engagement with these people. Because if the people who gave the intel are not interrogated or they don't appear to give testimony, you will find a crucial element missing, because people are thinking that the originators are the ones to be blamed more. Some are even saying that the journalists and all that, they fueled more or less what would have been a normal protest. Okay, so you need this very, very important.
I guess then it comes back.
Yes,
yeah.
and it's very important because for those of us who work with the security services or the security, within the security space, you are there, somebody will call you and give you some information, and the person is expecting you to say something about it, only for you to go back and check and realize that no, the information given to you, it's totally the opposite. It doesn't wash. And so from where I sit, if I tell you how many people will talk to me from all over the country, sometimes, senior security officers, senior, both military, immigration, police, and all that, they will give you information, but it's up to you. If you don't want trouble for yourself, you better check and ensure that the information they are giving you is credible before you begin to, share it with those who have to share it with. But for him to say it was given to me, I can't share, and went further to say the decision he took was a unilateral decision. Unilateral in the sense that he's the chairman of RECSEC. And the chairman of RECSEC, he has all the security heads in the
region.
region.
RECSEC is the Regional Security
Council. All the heads of security in the region are under him. When he's not there, the Ashanti Regional Police Commander actually deputized him. And so, when you say RECSEC, it's an institution. If you are not there, doesn't necessarily mean that RECSEC cannot meet and take a crucial decision that will culminate into deploying officers with firearms or riot gear. But to say, I called the military and told the military, I have been told that they are going to burn down a police station. And for the military to come in, and he mentioned Colonel Popra, Lieutenant Colonel Popra, he mentioned his name. Only for the CO, the commanding officer, Apple, to come in and say, no, the regional minister spoke to me, and I in turn spoke to Lieutenant Colonel Popra. So you realize the inconsistencies with regards to what these three important people have given out. Then you also notice the Ejura District Police Commander. He is actually in charge of the district. And so you cannot come in and perform these type of security operations without certain, clarity from him.
Before you go into the district police commander, what does it then look like when you have three key military police personnel, top officers, giving this contradictory information?
Well, it just speaks to the core of the challenges we have as a country in terms of security. Some of us have been raising this issue of the intel fraternity not being in existence in this country. Before September 11th, what we are faced today, the Americans had faced it. And so when the first Twin Tower went down, they didn't know who to respond. The fire brigade were confused. They didn't know what was going on. Because then when you work within the security space, there is usually that, everyone trying to show that I am in charge. And so there has to be clear line of directions and actions so that you know that this is the coordinator for A, B, C, D, if these things happen. And a typical example is the fire that took place in Makola. You can see water company, two government institutions going at each other in public, literally tearing each other down. Why do you think one says you sell the water, one says no, you didn't give us water? And so this is not the question, but I'm only telling you that we have a bigger problem waiting to, we have a bigger, something big waiting to happen. Okay. If we don't deal with the lack of coordination when it comes to security and safety in this country. Okay. Because then some of us have mentioned, repeatedly that what you see in Accra when it comes to insecurity, national security, the police, the people going to IGP in front of IGP's office to go steal and they can't get them, is the tip of the iceberg, because then when you go further, the situation degenerates. And so what you saw in Kumasi is not, or in Ejura, is not a case in isolation. Okay. It's something that we have seen repeatedly. Yesterday, I was driving around East Legon. Then I saw a bullion, I call them farm pickups, with soldiers, about 6-8 soldiers, mounting another farm pickup with rifles, following the money. You know how much it costs to train one soldier?
How much does it cost?
It's a lot of money. So to deploy soldiers, 6-7 soldiers in one vehicle, following how much? Maybe some 50,000 Ghana cedis. It tells you that we have not prioritized security in this country, unfortunately. And so going back to Ejura, I would say that Ejura could have been prevented if there was proper coordination, the intel that was picked was properly analyzed. And I say so because the regional minister says we picked intel on their way to Ben police station. Did you see the fire service at the scene, parked in front of the police station? No. Where these young people were shot at, I've asked questions. Were they shot in front of the police station? No. We are told that they were holding cutlasses and shovels and the rest. These people were coming from the cemetery. Have you seen a Muslim burial before? They go in with these implements. Because when you go to the cemetery, you have young people who dig. Someone would have to clear the bush. So when you see them with cutlasses and shovels, would not necessarily, translate into meaning that they were going to use this implement to harm anybody. And you'll heard the medical doctor, his testimony.
Before we go into that, because that's also another one, I just want to bring in Justice Abdullahi, who is also a lawyer and lecturer at UPSA, to have him weigh in on this conversation. Justice Abdullahi, good morning to you. Thanks for joining. Okay, it's really a family reunion.
Yeah, that's my lawyer.
Justice, thanks for joining us. Your client, Adam Bona, is here and he's saying good morning to you. Hello. Okay, I'm not sure we have him connected. When we do, we'll try and get to him. But Adam, I want you to slow down on the bit about the testimony from the medical examiner, because you were earlier going to speak to the testimony given by the Ejura District Police Commander.
Yes. So, for instance, the Ejura District Police Commander says, "I called for reinforcement." Mm-hmm. You see, he's been very smart. The lawyer is, my colleagues here are saying that there has to be some prosecutions. So if there's going to be prosecutions, he is actually doing a disclaimer. He says, I did not call for the military. I called for reinforcement. And I didn't define the type of reinforcement. So please, I'm absorbing myself from any prosecution. You can't blame me because I didn't. And I think that based on what he said, I would have thought that probably the committee would have probed further and asked, so what are the processes? When the military officers came in, did they come to your station? How many questions were asked? How many military, officers, police officers were sent there? And my point is that if you look at from the regional minister to the deputy regional police commander who gave testimony, what I realized was that they were just not prepared. Either they were not prepared or they didn't. I mean, they said the police, I think the deputy regional commander said, he brought in the military to come and intimidate the people. I mean, how many of the young people today have seen soldiers in action before? I mean, maybe we are old enough, so we might have seen 1979.
Yeah.
And you saw people were literally killed. And so the young people today, all over the world, don't fear soldiers. Because times have changed. It's the reason why you bring the soldiers. A soldier was slapped during COVID in Kumasi. You dare not go closer to a soldier. And so mine is that to say we brought them in to intimidate the people and said, well, that thought was wrong. For me, that itself is an indictment, which I think that the lawyers will tell you, I'm sure when the report comes out, people would have to be prosecuted. And so, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't send no ambulance when you knew that if you said people were going to burn
when you had the intel,
exactly. It means that you would have done your risk analysis and said, oh, you know what, if we do not send in the ambulance and fire tender, if they start to burn, what do? You send in one water cannon. How do you do that? How many water cannons? I wanted to hear the committee ask the deputy regional police commander, because the regional commander, he was pulled out, I think, yesterday. I mean, his time in office has ended, and so I think for some time the deputy regional commander has been acting as the regional police commander. They should have asked him, how many fire tenders do you have? When they asked, did you send tear gas? I mean, those of us who are old enough have inhaled tear gas here and there. They'll throw it at you and you have to run. No tear gas, no blank bullets.
So that brings us to the conversation about the crowd management. Please hold the line. Let me bring back Justice Abdullahi. Good morning to you, Justice Abdullahi. Hello.
Emergency has been averted.
Justice, if you can press the unmute button and so that we can hear you.
I think I have to take my lawyer to some computer. I have to take my lawyer to some
your technology skills are being questioned. Your client is not impressed, Justice. But good morning. Good to see you. I think we still can't hear you. Okay, I'm going to have to ask my producer to intervene. Let's try and get Justice's sound up. Nia, I'll bring you into the conversation at this point. I don't want us to quickly move to the crowd management, which is also a very important conversation. I want to first of all ask you about the things that Mr. Bonner said that they stood out for him in terms of the public inquiry, the conversation that was happening, and the responses that the security couples, if I should say, were giving, the contradictions, what would appear as insensitive, saying that you brought in military to intimidate, that will really not be politically correct. When you hear that, does that smack of incompetence at that highest level?
I mean, it all goes down to education, because if you go back to, developed countries that we look so much to, you see people enroll in universities and study courses like war management, they do war studies, they do military studies, etc., etc. I mean, to what extent are those courses offered here? For which reason one always has the knowledge that when such things occur, we'll be able to respond to it. I mean, how do we recruit into even the army? How do we recruit into the police service? And I've written copiously on police education because this is a huge course. I mean, none of our universities run that program, apart from what they do in the police training school, and they finish and they do some CPDs, continuous professional development. Even what goes into that content is not known. But if these things are made, if these studies are made available in our universities, and we are struggling for courses, all universities doing business management and administration, I don't know why we don't diversify. And you see, some of these things must be spearheaded by policy direction. Because if security is becoming a problem, then we have to begin to rethink about our education. Okay, so that is one. Two, there seems to be so much perception, and it's as if the committee's work is to skew towards a certain direction and to leave what the issues are, and that is giving people some forms of worry. Because yesterday I listened to Kaka's family, and they said they are not prepared to go to any committee because their brother is in the police custody, and they're rather thinking of how they will get him bailed out rather than whatever they are being called to come and say. And that if they say anything, they may be used against them in the court of competent jurisdiction. So they are not prepared. Why should it be so?
In their statements, and let me just read that to you. In their statements, they talk about having, this is what they say: events over the past few days have left less setting of the scope, focus, real intent, and even utility of the ongoing inquiry. I find that very damning.
That's the thing, which tells you that they have no belief in whatever is going on. And they think that
how disorganized the committee is, because if they had prioritized, maybe the family would have come first.
Okay.
They would have brought in the family, because then the family will be paying attention to what everybody is saying and will decide to come or not to come. Meanwhile, they are very important how the end of this whole thing is going to go. So if they don't come in, what report? Anyway.
And there are two big issues here. One is got to do with the murder of Kaka, which the police is supposed to do those inquiries and tell us what it is. And then the second is the committee, which is
are we safe to say the killing?
Yeah, the killing.
The murder is yet to be established.
Okay, good. So the killing of their beloved family member, which the police is supposed to do and give us reports on what their investigations are coming out with. And then the committee's work to look at everything, the incidents that happened in Nigeria, as we are told. So we need to see two different things there. So that if the police inquiry is towards the killing, which is the concern of the family, then obviously they will be prepared to speak to the police, because I mean their beloved one is killed and they want to know what has happened to that. Okay.
It's interesting that you raised that, because I don't know if that clarity is not there, and I want to take us back to the president's instruction, the statements from the presidency instructing the interior minister to set up the committee. Just to read the first paragraph. So if we have it, we can display it. It says the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, has instructed the Minister for the Interior to conduct forthwith a public inquiry into the circumstances that led to the unfortunate occurrences of Tuesday, 29 June 2021. The Interior Minister is to provide a detailed report from the inquiry with recommendations for appropriate actions within 10 days. When this statement says circumstances that led to the unfortunate occurrence, and gentlemen, I'll let all of you have a bite on this. What exactly are they looking into? Is it clear to us what these circumstances? Is it just about? Is it the killing of Kaka? Is it the rioting that happened, or is it the subsequent firing of shots that led to people dying and getting injured, or is it all of it? I'll start with you, Adam.
Well, I think it's all of it, because then the killing of Kaka is a precursor. That is what culminated into the riots. Mm-hmm. And so I think the president obviously thought that it would be wise to see where the failures came from, because then anyone who knows how my brothers and sisters in the Zongo live, you touch one person, you touch the whole community. And so if Kaka was killed, and already there was that perception that he was killed because he had some fracas with the MCE, and the MCE, somehow there were a lot of things on social media. Yeah. There were a lot of allegations flying left and right. And if you heard the MCE says, as at the day he was giving his testimony, he had not still been questioned by the police.
Yes, he said that.
He had not still been questioned by the police.
But I ask because doesn't it become broad, the scope of the committee? Because here we are looking at exactly what is their focus. I would assume that the killing of Kaka really would not be under their purview.
No, it should be, because then if Kaka died and that culminated into the turmoil in Ejura, mm-hmm. then the president as the commander-in-chief, whose all of us, our safety is in his hands, would be interested in knowing, why did you people fail me? So I want to know from MC, from regional minister, police commander, all of you, the military, I want to know what happened, because then, unfortunately, one person had died. Yeah. Couldn't we have summoned the best amongst us to ensure that, apart from that person, no one else died? Okay. And so I think that, yes, what's the name? The terms of reference was very clear. Okay. That they want to know everything. And I think that, you know, from where I sit, even though with my limited knowledge in English, I think that the terms of reference was very direct and clear. Okay. You know, interrogate everything that led to the killing of, you know, because that was the straw that actually broke the camel's back. The killing of, what do you call it? And probably if the leaders of this country didn't go there, maybe something else would have happened after the killing of these two people. So that is my opinion.
Okay, me quickly, I'll take your bite on this.
I was trying to recollect when Kaka died and when the date, what President referred to as the 22nd, so that I know I can distinguish whether it's...
He died on the 29th of June. The president's statement was on the 30th of June. The committee was expected to have ended their work and have submitted their report 9th July.
And the president's instruction was on
30th June, a day after.
30th June, okay. And then the demonstration was on?
I think 29th or something.
Say it should be on the same day.
He died on 29th.
The demonstration would have been a day or two.
I think he died on the 28th.
You see, he died on the 28th.
28th, and I think on the 29th they were supposed to bury. And it was the 29th.
The demonstration was on the 30th.
The 30th.
Yes, he died 29th. The incidents happened, I believe, 28th. He died 29th, and I think the incidents happened on the 30th, which is the burial.
Good. So we need a chronological order. So if then so that we can say that the president's order on 29th,
30th,
on 30th would, I mean, depending on what time he came in and all that, then we'll be able to I mean, ascertain and know whether it was directed towards the death or it was for the demonstration. And I quite remember that when Kaka's incident happened, people went on social media and saying that government have been very silent on the issue. Nothing has been said yet until the demonstration happened. Then we had the 30th issue. You see, so if you look at it chronologically, you would say that there was communication gap, which would have been a problem, and that may have led to the perception that people have that all this committee work is towards. But I don't want us to conclude easily. I mean, let's give them benefit of the doubt. Of course, we can preempt some things, but let's see what they say and let's see what the end will be, so that we don't say it's become one of many, or it has distinguished itself in terms of recommendations and what punishment has been meted out to people who may be found culpable. If it happens to be the same thing to fuel the perception of the people, then that wouldn't be good for us. So let's see how this will be very different.
Okay, Benjamin, would you have your take? While you're doing that, I'll just want to alert our regional correspondent, Abdul Basit. I will be bringing him in at some point just to understand this community, Jura, the kind of tensions that were going on all this while, and even get to know about the background of the gentleman who was attacked and killed, Kaka. Yes, Benjamin.
Yes, thank you. And yes, I will move from the views of my seniors. It's clear that, yes, circumstances leading to the death of Kaka. This is wide, very broad. So investigation is expected to deal with all preliminary issues at the time of the rioting, the death and all that, and then what even followed after the fact. But with the agency in mind, 10 days for a committee to be set up and to do its work and submit, I would believe that with that kind of agency, it would have been limited to the death of Kaka.
Okay.
Okay, and that was the expectation of the family. And that's why they are saying that with their observation of the proceedings, it doesn't appear to them that that is the focal point. But you will not be able to also blame the committee so much, because this is a very huge scope to investigate or to gather the facts. But they should see that with the 10 days that you have seen, that
so
already
they have an extension now.
Exactly.
Yes, it's been extended.
But you get the sense of the president was on Kake's death. And that is where I'm coming with the belief that he had his mind on possible prosecution. So that in the course of investigation, when we get the basic facts, then we can look at it, and that will lead us into so many angles that we can do further and detailed inquiry.
Very well. So for you, it would appear to have focused on just that.
Exactly.
We're having a bit of difficulty with the Zoom on getting Abdul Basit on the line. I'd wanted him to begin the conversation about the kind of tensions that were going on, personality clashes and all that were going on. We'll take a break right now. When we come back, we'll try and rework that line with our correspondent Abdul Basit, and we'll try and wrap up on the conversation. I want to look at the riot management, the question about using live ammunition at a crowd, and then also, yes, the issues that you raised, the personality issues, the MC, because we had heard the MC and the MP going at each other at some point, or I think was it the MP making certain claims. We'll be right back after this break.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room set, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
Did you know that cloth handkerchief gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it? Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchiefs. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief. The Flora toilet roll, Flora multi-purpose paper towels, Flora table napkins, and Flora box tissues in a shop near you. For both purchases, call Delta Paper Mail on 0243 033 033.
The search for a reliable partner in dealing with your U-turn bus needs has been made easier and convenient with SA Automobile. SA Automobile, formerly U-turn Ghana Limited, has been in the business of offering quality U-turn products and services at competitive rates. At SA Automobile, our team of expert staff, management, engineers, and mechanics professionally deal in the sale of U-turn buses, genuine spare parts, its repairs and maintenance at our highly effective workshop with remarkable speed. We also have available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light-duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020-000-0831 or 054-555-7500. You can also email us info@saautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
Welcome back. And yeah, I think there was an interesting conversation that was happening off the... no, not that one.
Of the schoolmates.
Okay, so there's a conversation going on your old school platform.
Yes.
That's fine. Greetings to them. That's fine. But they shouldn't overtake because there are people in the studio. That said, you went back to the conversation about the training of the people who will become police officers. And Adam, you were making an interesting point about the focus shouldn't be on recruiting people who have just completed secondary school. So yeah, I would like you to bring that back.
Yes, because you see, as against the military, for military, you need fighters. Soldiers are fighters. You recruit, But when it comes to policing, you need people who are well grounded. I mean, we have a lot of students who have finished the university with good first degrees, psychology, in different, in the various humanities. And one would have expected that, apart from what my, colleague Ni spoke about, going back to ensure that some of the universities begin to have courses such as criminology, policing, and, beginning to bring in courses relating to security. It's not everyone who would want to go and obtain a degree in, let's say, criminology, would want to go and work in the police service or any of it, but can work in a bank, but would have an appreciable level of security when it comes to whatever the person does. But when you look at it at the moment, the police service has overly recruited too many senior high school students.
And there are even claims of recruiting foot soldiers from political parties who may not be properly educated or well educated.
Yes, as for that, you won't limit it to, it's all of them, all the various government over the years. But it would be good to raise the bar to first degree holders who have related, courses, who have undergone some appreciable level of training in terms of university. Because obviously, I must say, someone who is finished senior high school and gone on to a university, that person's way of doing things would be a bit different, would have definitely you would have gone through some amount of training again, be it practical or academic. But in this country, I think the former IGP Apietu, David Apietu, proposed it some, a year or 2 years ago, and it became a discussion in this country. So I think that let's broaden the scope, the investors. For instance, you have Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center. Largely what they teach is a certain, a lot of it has to do with peace and security. But you know that because we haven't gone through, war and all that, this is something for especially peacekeepers. It helps you. It broadens. I have done courses in that area. But if you are looking for that aspect of policing, I was expecting the Ghana Police Service, for instance, at their Tesano facility to have been upgraded to a university where civilians who would want to, let's say want to go and do MSc in policing. At the moment, you have, police officers who want to do these courses. Some of them would go up. I think there is the Institute of Security, Safety, Disaster Management Studies. They are now the only institution that is doing criminology. But I would have wished that the various University of Ghana, all the other universities would bring on board some of these courses. But I think the Ghana Police Service themselves owe it as a duty to the people of this country and for civilian policing to ensure that they apply for upgrade, to ensure that their own facility is upgraded, to award degrees in the related policing and security.
I mean, if
let me get on the.
1 second. I mean, just to say that that article I refer to is Ade's Green Board on Police Education. Ade's Green Board on Police Education.
Did you send it to me already?
No, I'll send it to you. And and I've spelled out everything that I think that should go into police education that can make it better than what we see now. Yes.
Let me quickly go to the Ashanti region where we're joined by our regional correspondent, Abdul Basit Suleiman. Good morning to you, and I hope you're well, comrade. Tell us about your trip to Ejura. the Ejura community, especially with the kind of tensions that existed there during this rioting and all of the incidents that happened. Let us also understand the personalities that appeared to be clashing. We heard the MP at some point speaking against, if I should say, the MC. We also heard the personality of Kaka, the man killed in all of this, his affiliation, supposed affiliation to the NPP and all of that. Just put the facts there for us, Abdul.
Yeah, Franca, good morning and good morning to our viewers. On the 28th of June, that we had information that Kaka was killed, and the following day, 29th, we went to Ejura to see, because we even had information that the youth are on rampage trying to find out that who killed Kaka and seeking justice from the police and so on and so forth. So I got to Ejura in the morning around 10 a.m. The moment I alighted from the vehicle, I saw some youth. At that time, they have come back from the cemetery. So I met some youth in their numbers shouting that we will not agree, moving towards the station. So that was when I decided to pull out a camera to take some shots, and one approached me that, no, why should I put camera on them?
You have just 1 minute remaining.
My goodness. Oh, we apologize for that.
But fortunately for me, I started.
So we apologize for that. We're gonna try and reconnect with him. Very well, gentlemen. Time is fast spent. I want to ask this question: what will be lost if, with the decision by the family members not to participate in this inquiry? I'll start with you, Adam, and I'll give you all 1 minute each for that.
Okay. So, if you notice the line of questioning by the committee, they themselves have overly focused on what's the name?
The
Kaka's
media.
death,
Okay.
in a way. Because then, where they say he is not an affiliate to Fix the Country, but the media tried to make it look so. And if you look at the line of questioning, actually suggests that it is somebody else who instigated or orchestrated this whole brouhaha or this whole demonstration. So what I can say is that without bringing, for instance, the wife, after his death, came out to say that I want my husband to stop his social media activism. I think the family members have also spoken. All of these people would have added some credence. So let us know whether, because you notice that when he died, the MPP youth or young people in the Zongo went to some MPP structure trying to tear it down. To them, because of probably what has gone on, they thought that, somebody killed him because he's affiliated to the MPP and speaking against the government. The MCE came to deny. Yeah. And so maybe they would have come to say, no, this is how this man relates to the MCE. This is so, they are being present would add a lot of credence. So I would still suggest to them that we need to know what took place. Okay. So they should make it a point to meet the committee. So at the end of the day, maybe they will give a lot of information that would help prosecution, because it is only the living who can seek justice for the deaf. The deaf cannot come back and ask for justice. So I think that they owe it as a responsibility to Kaka's death to give testimony.
Benjamin, let me have your take on that. In 1 minute. I think Adam did more than 1 minute.
I know.
Yes, I will also add my voice and appealing to the family to come. They can be well guided on what to say and what not to say, because as we have all agreed, the central task is to go into what led to the death of their own family member. So at least they will need some basic information to take it further. So they shouldn't see, I'm sure that they are looking at the committee's work as a final process, or the activity that will lead to a certain results. That's why they don't want to be part. But they should get the understanding that that is only the beginning, as I can understand it.
Okay.
Yes, part of the report which says that maybe a perception, not a report, or I mean what we've heard in the media, which says that he may have been killed by his brother, because I've heard that as well. If that is anything to go by, then why would they go say anything? So that they lose 2 family members at the same time. But you would want to encourage them that they should volunteer information, if that will help us to some extent.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we'll draw the curtains on this topic or this part of the program on the Ejura inquiry at this point. I know Adam will leave us at some point, so I'm sure the producer will signal when that can happen. But we'll turn our attention right now to the conversation about the approval of allowances for the first and second ladies as the spouses of the president and the vice president. We'll take a quick turnaround and then we'll come back into the studio to begin that conversation. I think we'll start with a short clip from Kweku Bakon, editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide, earlier this week on Good Morning Ghana, and then we'll come back into the studio.
Some of this, the previous reports is there. When the president dies, it is the estate, the residential facility goes to his house.
Yes.
But his allowances and things cease.
So that's the point I'm making, that if you say that you're trying to find a way, and you say that, let's treat it as part of their privileges. In the event, I'm not ready to accept that is right, but I'm saying that it can only happen in the event that the person is alive. So, for example, for those living spouses of presidents and former presidents who have passed, you cannot be paying them.
No, yes, because that's true, and it's in some of the reports. When that happens, the contour of the allowances or privileges and things the president, when leaving, was receiving, do not come to you. It's the facility, the house, the solid house. Yes, that comes to the spouse.
Yeah, the family.
But but the monies, I don't know how to put it, the monetary or financial aspects vanish. Yeah, and I think that's natural.
Yeah. So the point I'm making is that if you are trying to institutionalize the payments to these persons, and it's not only to those whose spouses are alive, but it's to those whose spouses are not alive, to the extent that those who are not alive do not receive these monetary contributions, you cannot say that you are paying their wives as part of their entitlements.
I hear you, but let me finish and tell you what I've heard. It's a privilege that we have accordingly included these allowances at the same level as currently pertains in table 7.3 A and B on privileges, benefits and facilities for the president and vice president. And then when you come to spouse of the president, in terms of, it says, payment of a salary equivalent to a cabinet minister MP, as currently pertains. If it's the vice president, it says, payment of salary equivalent to 80% of salary of minister of state MP, if spouse served 1 full term as president. Or 100% of salary of Minister of State MP if spouse served 2 or more full terms as president. Then it comes to facility, privilege or benefit. Spouse of vice president, that's payment of salary equivalent to cabinet minister non-MP as currently pertains. Payment of salary equivalent to 80% of a minister of state non-MP if spouse served 1 full term as vice president, or 100% of salary of a minister of state non-MP if spouse served 2 or more full terms as vice president. At this stage, you can see, yes, those authors of this report, they recognize the fact that constitutionally it's difficult to accommodate spouses within the context of Article 71 office holders. They then suggest that because this has been going on in terms as an administrative arrangement over the period, it should be formalized, it should be maintained. Now let's go back to the history of this. I have here a letter, it's dated 16th August 2000. It is signed by Nana Atudazi, Chief of Staff. And this particular letter, the same letter, same format, was given to former first and second ladies. But this particular one is addressed to Mrs. Namoko Busia. But the same format. I will read it for good reasons. It says, His Excellency the President has approved proposals for the Green Street Committee on Salaries and Emoluments for specified persons in accordance with Article 71 of the 1992 Constitution. The proposals, which have been endorsed by Parliament and Council of State, include, among other provisions, the following: the establishment of an office and payment of appropriate stipend to the spouses of the President and the Vice President of the Republic during their tenure of office. B, the provision of allowances and the proper upkeep of the spouses of the President and the Vice President, as well as surviving spouses of ex-heads of state. This includes provision of domestic staff, security, and transportation. Allowances in respect of spouses of deceased ex of states are to be paid so long as they remain unmarried. The first and second ladies have accordingly been placed on an appropriate salary scale, effective 7th January 1997. Each beneficiary spouse of an ex-head of state receives the amount of 41,364,716 cedis.
That's 4,100 Ghana.
Old cedis, to cover the period 7 January 1997 to March 2000. Pursuant to the above, checks have been issued by the Comptroller and Accountant General to all beneficiaries through the Chief of Staff. These emoluments will be correspondingly adjusted to reflect any general salary review during the period of payment. To facilitate the payment of these stipends, the first and second ladies, together with their surviving spouses, are to submit through the Chief of Staff to the Accountant General the names of their banks and account numbers. Currently, the Chief of Staff Office has processed and paid the benefits to all the beneficiaries who are normally resident in Ghana. The others are being contacted. Meanwhile, the minister responsible for state protocol is to develop. Okay.
So in the studio, I'll come to you, Benjamin, on this. The conversation really has been about whether or not this is legal or constitutional, as Article 71 spells out who should be getting what, or who are these office holders that the state should be paying. This approval from Parliament, what does it mean then for the spouses of the first, the President and then the Vice President to be giving or to formalize these allowances?
Yes, thank you. Let me make the comment that it's so uncomfortable to be discussing salaries of our first, second ladies, of the Republic. But we have this and we have to deal with it. Yes, so constitutionally, as has been also said over the tape we played, that is clear that constitutionally Article 71 doesn't, cover the First Lady salaries, allowances or facilities or privileges of any kind to the First Lady or the Second Lady. So clearly, within the ambit of Article 71, if you want, you can even take it from Article 70, where specific those offices, some of the offices are even specified, and there is nothing anywhere even there for you to say that, oh, there might have been an omission or anything of the sort. So clearly, the committee's mandate could not and can never have anything to do with anybody not covered by Article 71 because it's specific. You are determining the salaries, allowances, privileges, and facilities for those specified in the law to serve as an advice to the president, when determining some of these.
Did they go
emoluments.
beyond their powers then?
Clearly, it was off, and as Mr. Kwaku Baako has alluded to, definitely that acknowledgement is even in the report that he was reading from. Okay, so clearly it was off. But then the leg of the parliamentary action is what should be dealt with. You see, yes, clearly Article 71, doesn't allow such payments. But what is the position of Parliament when it comes to approving for withdrawal of monies from the consolidated fund or any public fund? Yes, the Constitution is clear under Article 179 and some other financial provisions that Parliament has the approving authority. And so one would say that once Parliament has approved it, if indeed it was approved by Parliament, then that legitimacy or what would have been otherwise unconstitutional would have been saved by the eventual approval by Parliament. That is the possibility of how the legal actions that already started may go. It's not a clear-cut position. I don't know if you
I'm struggling to understand a bit, but what I wanted to understand was if Parliament approved this, how did Parliament approve this without what we have come to understand the likes of HKC Prempeh say that it should have gone through a bill to get that authority or get that power to do that, to make these payments to the first and second lady?
Yes, so ideally the normal process is that you have to create that office. There must be a public office before you appropriate, public funds to it. Okay.
Which is what the bill would have started.
Exactly. So that is to make it a public office, because that's what the Constitution recognizes. There must be a public office, which obviously is not provided for in the Constitution, so it has to be by an act of Parliament.
So does that mean that,
does
that mean that what Parliament has done now is unconstitutional?
That is why I'm saying that it can be yes, it can be no. And this is where
that's why people are going to court.
Because, yes, you will see that the window through which this approval was made was not, constitutional, because Article 71 is clearly, circumscribed, and the parties who are to benefit from such payments are there.
And I think it's entrenched.
It's entrenched.
So you have to go to a referendum, for instance.
Exactly.
So the executive can't even veto it or use its power, extend its power, say, let's push this through.
Yeah, no, nobody has that. Even if it was
an entrenched clause,
you cannot do anything about it. But the point that I'm making is that despite the apparent unconstitutionality of this approval by the committee, the fact of parliamentary approval has its constitutional basis also. And one would say that it doesn't matter how the recommendation was made. If I'm sitting as a judge, I can look at it from two perspectives. Yes, the Constitution doesn't permit this, and the committee's work shouldn't have gone that far. It was ultra-vires, beyond its power. So whatever they came up with, whatever recommendations they made, would have been null and void and of no effect. So Parliament couldn't have given a stamp to it. But somebody will also say that, yes, if Parliament represents the people, and they have the power over the pairs, and some proposal has been placed before it, and it has approved it, then we'll take it to that other power that it has to approve, which it has exercised. But I think that this conversation should not be left with the legalities. The bigger picture is about the moral aspect of it, to me. For me to even sit here and discuss salaries to our first ladies, eminent Ghanaians at that level, it's so bad. Why is it that when you become the president with so much largesse, that people will do everything for, your spouse's care becomes that of the state? I don't get it. If I'm the chief executive of a company I'm supposed to even live far, far better than any other employee.
Benjamin has started raising the moral conversation. And when he said it's Adam, you said, you blurted out, yes. What's on your mind? And we have the breakdown of the monies to be paid. I'm sure it will be displayed on the screen, but let's hear you, Adam.
No, for me, I am looking at it from the times we find ourselves, the moral aspect you raised. I think that this issue shouldn't have come up at all. Because first of all, let me put it on a lighter note. It's almost like putting pressure on maybe largely the men to go and all contest for president. Because then our wives are likely to put pressure on us to be president so that they have a lifetime earnings, isn't it? And so I think that as a people, without intending to sound very populist, I think our president, for you to get to president, the most important person and the second most important person, I think you would have gone through a lot of, because it's not a coup. You went through stages. If you look at how long it took Nana Addo, I mean, many years for him to get to the presidency. Then he gets there, then the next day we are told that his wife would have to be paid by us. I think what comes with that position is good enough to take care of him and his wife for their lifetime. And so let's not kid ourselves, because if you look at it, Ghana is tough. Petrol prices are going up. There are a lot of things that are going. Import duties are going up. I'm an importer. If you look on the import bill that comes now, there are so many things that Ghanaians would have to pay for, because we literally don't produce anything. And so if prices are going up, and at a point when we are discussing the emolument or the salaries for our first ladies and second ladies and the like, I think that I find that improper. So for instance, if you were, those in politics will tell you that some of them will tell you their wives don't want to be seen anywhere. They don't want to be part of their political aspirations and ambitions. And so let's say I became the president and my wife doesn't want to be in the public eye, yet you have put in there that she should be earning whatever thousands of Ghana cedis. But this is because of work that is expected of them, in a lot of social work in terms of maternal. Are we now intending to define? For instance, I'm an employer. So before I employ you, you are given terms and conditions of your employment. That you come to work 8 a.m. You close at a certain time. Good. Maybe these are the targets you must meet. If you don't meet the target, this is what will happen. These are if you have to be dismissed. So for instance, can you dismiss a first lady, for instance? You cannot dismiss a first lady. You can't, right? So, but the husband can decide to divorce the first lady, right? So my point is that if the president is going to be paid and his wife is paid, and the wife, let's say become the president, my wife decided that she doesn't want to do all that. Are we trying to take that right away from her? To say you have to do it. But we've also no. But I'm sure you know that there are some politicians whose wives don't get involved in their political activities. Yes. So Ghana is growing. We are only less than 30 years old in the Fourth Republic. By the time you will get to 100 years, you are going to have some politicians, some presidents' wife or some presidents' husbands. Let's be gender sensitive. Some presidents' husbands who decide that, you see, I don't want to be part of your politics. But you put there that you must pay the person. It is mandatory. Whether he works or not, that is what this thing is saying. But if it is an allowance is usually as at when, pay as you go. So if you have to go, we calculate what you have to do, we give it to you, or when you go and come, it's just like per diem. Per diem is not given to you when you haven't done anything. Per diem is given to you when. On that as and when basis. So I am looking at this from that point. Let me bring in me as we discuss the moral conversation about this salary or allowances to be formalized. The understanding we have is that already they are given some allowances. It's the formalization of what is being done
That's the problem. So why not formalize it? What do we stand to lose?
I mean, where lies the continuous improvement of the country? I mean, I listened to Mr. Kwaku Baku read from the Green Street report 2000. I mean, you want to question the reason for pointing to that document. Is it to say that it's been done or it's already been there, therefore it must be justified? No.
But the reports, and he did read that of 2000, the Green Street 2012 and 2016.
Yes, but
all of them seem to have identified this.
So where lies the continuous improvement of the country? It's wrong. I mean, salaries, yes. And even for me, I say salaries, sorry. Allowances. I accept the allowances when the spouse is in office, because then the position is ceremonial. So you have Independence Day, you have national celebrations where the spouse will have to go. I mean, in this case, it's always been the wives have to go with the husband, and therefore they need to dress up nicely and everything. So if we're taking care to make sure they show up in public nicely by way of allowance, that's good. But even when the husband leaves office, those allowances must stop. Yes, for me, that's the extent to which I'll take it. It must stop, because those allowances are given to maintain the wife whilst the husband is in office, because of what? The ceremonial duties. Nice clothes, nice hair, etc.
Benjamin,
but when he leaves office, it has to stop.
I'm not cutting you. Is it Liberian president, Sirleaf or whatever?
Sirleaf.
Did we hear about the husband? Ever hear about the husband? I don't know whether she was married, but I mean, because then if your wife is a president and now you are a business whatever, are you now going to tell me I should come and be doing social service?
That is the point. And you see, the thing is that if you look at it sequentially, I mean, who earns a salary? The one who earns a salary is one who works. Okay. So do we like?
Are we saying they don't do any work?
I mean, what work they do? They do foundations and all that. And even the definition of foundation in this country, I find it problematic, because if you look at the definition of foundation,
the first lady was instrumental in building a hospital.
A foundation is somebody who is already in business and making money and wants to give back to society.
Okay,
like you don't set a foundation and raise money from people and say it's a foundation, you are giving money.
Let me bring in Benjamin to look at the extent of this approval from Parliament.
You shouldn't be giving.
Explain it to us. Is this covering just the current first ladies, or this is going to have retroactive effects on them as well, and former the spouses of former presidents? And even, are we going to see other, the spouses of other Article 71 holders enjoy this or receive this?
Okay, thank you. I have not had the benefit of going into the archives to know when it started, but what Mr. Kwaku Baku has given us is something that we can rely on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you see that it started entering our archives from 2000, when it was described even as a stipend to be given to the first ladies. Okay, but the question that keeps on coming up is why did the former presidents, okay, from Rawlings, Kufuor, the former president Mills, Mahama, why is it that none of them formalize it? Why? Okay. Yes, it is so wrong to give public funds to anybody who doesn't bear public duty. Yes. That can be assessed. The assessment can be through elections. The assessment can be through job evaluation or, appraisal of work. So where do we place this? Yes, of course, our first ladies, they do a lot of work, but they do the work which is natural, so that they leverage their special position to get assistance to help the development of the country. And that, to me, is not something that should attract any payment of any sort. So legally, Parliament, over the period, they have seen this, they've acted upon it, because they mistakenly come within the package that should receive one-time approval. I'm sure that the way these monies are approved, they come in the report, so that Parliament will approve the monies allotted to the President, Vice President, and the ministers. And then the President, in turn, will approve that of the members of parliament, even though the constitution gives even the power to the president alone, subject to the advice of the emoluments committee. So you see that the whole regime for the determination of this emoluments is 40. It's 40. Why should I be, between the closeness of parliament and the president approving these monies? It shouldn't be. It should be, the determination should be done, quite far away off them, and then the approval will be done.
Okay, I would like to wrap up by reading some messages that came in. Good morning, fellow Ghanaians. I think you are hitting the nail on the head, but you are left with the boldness, since that's the only language our selfish and greedy leaders understand. Madam Host, more kudos. You are doing marvelously great. Keep it up. The sky is your limit, from Bibio in Tema. Thank you, Bibio, for your message. Good morning. I'm Grace Yamwa from Takoradi. I agree with Mr. Niyama. With increasing issues on security, it's about time we know what goes into the kind of training and policies that go on with our security system in our country, and laws enforced against security officials when they are at fault. Good morning to you all. It's a good discussion, but it seems Mr. Bona is telling the committee what they should write in their reports. I don't think he said that. I think it's unfortunate. The committee should have probed further. The committee should have asked such and such. I think your discussion should be out of the committee's work. Let them come out with their report, and then we can talk about our expectations. That's Kwekwata in Accra. Thank you for your messages. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring Ghana Moment. I'll try and see if we can play that at the end of the show right now. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We're also grateful to you for watching at home and also online. We'll be back next Saturday. I'm Francisca Kakra-Forson. Thank you.
So the first thing I pushed in Ghana was for Ghana to do the bullet train, the high-speed train. That's the first thing when I came, the past 4 years. I've been pushing for this thing. This is so important. And this is how it will look like.
Okay.
It will look like even on an airplane. No.
Where are we with it right now?
We've wasted 4 years. We have not even touched this. So I'm so glad that President appointed Amewu to come and take this and move it quickly. So we are...
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
HD logo the bottom. Where you say HD local channels na mo hedo. And so pictures here clear. E 5 times better. As in other channels that could be show hormone. So go the mention mo tram raka why. Oh, what the pictures. What a picture. What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now Electroland agent PR Metro local channels now HD the here so better star 879 hash numbers from Kubo box and now the advert AD channels now.
Get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Philippines promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
Yenim say whoop football pa. And nothing a high sense as sponsor Euro 2020. Edia Maono. Ne sa something na ya TV so say who Edia Maono. a Hisense Hero 2020 TV Super Promo. Kahoe kwajo brand new Hisense TV and ne form. Pictures near clear na color near deep. Sound quality this so dear one it here. Hisense TV so dear entry power.